morning, everyone. Hello. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope everyone is doing great, or afternoon, or evening, whatever it may be where you are. Uh, oh my gosh, I hope you guys have your beverages of choice as we go through this Rings of Power finale episode. Overall thoughts, just before we get started, before we get into it and see who's here and all that. I could barely get through this episode. This was supposed to be their big finale, right? Where they tie up loose ends, pull the story together, or whatever. I didn't get that. I didn't get any of that. I got more confusion. I got more stupidity. I got more destruction, deconstruction of Tolkien's work. And that was just the initial viewing. I had to watch it again because I fell asleep on it. This entire series has been absolute trash. It's been an abomination. I haven't been doing reviews per se, except like on Saturday when we talk about it. I don't really consider this a review. It's more like we're just trying to figure it out. We're just trying to deal with it's therapy. But like I've been doing lore videos. You can catch a couple of those. And basically what I've been doing is how I'm dealing with this is looking at what Rings of Power has done and then trying to provide some insight into what is really behind their methodology. Because they read the books. Let's make no mistake about it. They read the books. They know what they have, but they've been manipulating it entirely to suit their narrative and taking things from here and taking things from there and putting it together into this inferior work that is so bad. I don't even understand how they're going to move forward with a season 2. They keep saying it. It's going to be a couple years from now, but I don't believe it's happening. I don't understand how, unless they completely clean slate, all new staff, all new writers, new people to do the set design, everything. Like they're going to need more money, I feel, to fix the problem they've created. Because this is not going to cut it. There's just no way you can continue to put out such insanely terrible product this late in the game. Now, there was one part of it that was decent, and I'll get to that, and I'll let you know what part that was. You probably already know if you've seen it, but the rest of it has been complete trash. And there's just no excuse. There's no excuse. There's too much money. There's been too much money involved. And yet, here we are. So let's start with, before I get into rant mode, let's start with just who's here this morning. I see the super chats. We're going to get to those too. Thank you. Okay, so, oh my gosh, so many people here already. It's like over 100 people here. Oh my God. You guys must be as upset about this show as I am. So many people to be here this morning. So let's see who's here first. Ragmar Verillion was here. He says, can't wait. Thank you. I can't wait either. Welcome. Apollo 536 says, this one I'm looking forward to. Hope I can catch it live. I hope you can too. Running with Scissors. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Ragmar says the Rings of Power was dead on arrival, but I did not expect it to have such horrible writing. I didn't either. I didn't expect. I knew it was going to be bad. Like I knew it was going to have the whole feminist angle, the intersectional feminist aspect. I saw that coming. Like okay. I was prepared for it. But to have such terrible writing and on top of that, terrible sets, terrible music, terrible CGI, like everything was bad. And people tried to say, "Oh no, but some of it's pretty." Yeah, if you look at it from a distance and there are no people in the scene. But that's computer generated art. Like I didn't tune in for a Lord of the Rings show for computer generated art. Like one of the great things about how Jackson did it was that you got scenery that you felt a part of. Like it drew you in. As a viewer, you felt like you were on the scene. You were right there with them. And You didn't feel that here. It's like you're watching a video game and not even playing it, but just watching it literally. So the quality overall was just terrible. Um, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Kryptonian Jedi is here. Good morning. Good morning. Keely Chow. Good morning. Zachariah 315 is here early. Good morning. Good morning. And Fifth Down Sports. Good morning, everyone. Thank God for As and Jane Theory. Otherwise, I'd still be I'd be at a loss over what I witnessed. And Disparu for ripping apart that garbage that was She-Hulk. Man, Disparu he's been killing it. Oh my God, it's so bad. Um, but some people have canceled Disney. Some people have, and I don't blame them. I feel like we're at a point where if they don't start creating better content, Disney, Amazon, what are some of the others? Netflix. What we're gonna start to see are more people decide it's just not worth it. Like if there's anything I want to see, there are ways of seeing it without giving money to these corporations that are just consistently disrespectful and hateful of the fans. So, and if you're going to continue to produce this foolishness, then I don't see any point really in going forward. Hangry is angry. Good morning to all. Ryan Martin says, "You're awesome, Jane. I love your insights on House of the Dragon streams with Gary Mullen and Shad. Those are such fun streams. I love talking about stuff I actually enjoy. Love it. This is not one of those shows. This is not one of those shows. The streaming bubble, what did it say? Oops, I went to hair products. I think it kind of did. The streaming bubble is going to burst. I agree. I mean, unless they turn and change their ways. Warner Brothers, for example, is cutting stuff left and right, cutting entire departments left and right. Not even replacing them. It's just cutting. And I think that's what needs to happen. These companies need to focus on profit. Focus on profit. Focus on customer satisfaction. Don't focus on trying to use IPs, particularly those with existing fan bases, as a platform for your agenda. It's not going to work. People are not going to want it. Every show that Az and I have reviewed has gotten canceled like almost immediately after the first season. I mean, it's not a coincidence. And they want to say, oh, you're just loud, you're just racist, you're just is this and the other phobe. But you're not the real fan base. That's how they like to categorize. It's like our voices don't count. We don't matter. If that were true, if what you were creating was actually good, if you weren't gaslighting us, if it were true, then you would succeed. You would have multiple seasons. You would be busy making money, and we would just be over here upset and angry, right? But that's not what's happening. That's not what's happening. What they're doing is creating trash that they can't sustain, and it's losing money. And it's not because of us. To be clear, it is not because of us. We're influencing a small percentage of the population, but these are global companies with global products, and they're being globally rejected. We're just voicing what everyone's thinking. And they don't want to see it. They don't want to hear it. They want to try to counter it with accusations of racism, thinking that's going to silence us, ignoring the fact that there are people here who are Black or all of the other ethnic groups on the planet. But sure, just it's blame us for being phobes of this, that, and the other. No, the reality is people just don't want your trash. We don't want to be preached to. Warner Brothers needs to cut Ezra Miller. I agree with you before he really hurt someone and they deservedly get sued. Sassy, I've been saying that all along. They need to because he's demonstrated that he's not going to stop acting out. I wouldn't be surprised if he catches a new case by the end of the year. I would not be surprised. But let's get to some super chats real quick and then we'll get into it. Paul Fisher with a $5 super sticker. Thank you. Now let me see It is a little pair with a mic drop. Thank you. CJ with a $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, "Good morning, Jane. I will miss your She-Hulk and Rings of Power reviews. You have done great work." Thank you. I'm sure there'll be many more crazy stuff on the way. There'll be much more until they learn their lesson. And then maybe we'll have more fun stuff like House of the Dragon to talk about. Then we have your Barmy, sorry, with a $2 super chat. Thank you. As in Jane, kiss of death. Thank you. Oh my gosh. So are you guys excited? You're excited to get started? Sorry you had to endure this pain. She-Hulk was really one of those that was really bad. Like I had to take a day after that. Like I was playing Fortnite like a crazy person to try to get out my frustration after that Daredevil episode. That was so bad. Okay, so you see I'm delaying. I'm delaying starting because it's so bad. Trying to drag this out. Okay, let's go ahead and do it. Let's do it. The sooner we can start, the sooner we can get it over with. M. Night Shaman says, "The last episode of She-Hulk was so awful, it was just perfect." Chef's kiss. Delay the pain. Okay, here we go. Rings of Power season finale. It opened, and we're going to do this by storyline. There are only 3 storylines here. Let's just, so I can explain to you. The first one has to do with the reveal, semi-reveal of the wizard, of the stranger, of at least what he is, if not who he is. The second storyline has to do with Galadriel and the reveal of Sauron, which most of us already knew, what that was going to be, and the reveal of the rings. And the third storyline had to do with Numenor and nothing. Not nothing. The reveal of the mindset that will bring the fall, basically. So that's what we got. Now, if there's any other storyline you preferred, if there's anything else happening in this show you enjoyed, like the dwarves or something, that's not included. They were done with them. Okay? So that's a quick overview. It's a quick overview of what we're about to endure. So we start out with Gandalf, not Gandalf, or the wizard guy, the stranger, whatever they want to call him. And remember, he got cast out because these stupid little Harfoot people are horrible people. He did nothing but help them and essentially fed them because he helped to restore the trees and plants and things to life in the little clearing that they came across that had been damaged somehow by the volcano, which is nowhere near them, but whatever. It was destroyed and he brought life back to it, and they were like, "No, you're evil. Get away from us." After he accidentally hit one with the tree. Sam just became a member. Oh, wait, no, he submitted a member chat. I'm sorry. He's been a member for 3 months. He submitted a member chat, and it's not showing me, so I can't do it. But he says, "Hello, Jane. Rings of Power was actually more terrible than I thought possible, which is saying something considering how low my expectations were." This is what I'm saying. It's so bad. It's so bad. Thank you, Sam. And thank you for being a gumbo knight. Drunk 3PO says, "Gandalf?" Hello. This is what everyone's wondering. Is it Gandalf? Now, can they call him Lauren? I don't. This is the question, is can they do it? I'm not sure. Drunk 3PO with the $3.99 super sticker with a little pear and a cup of coffee. Thank you. I don't know if this is supposed to be him. I really, really don't want it to be. I don't think it, I mean, it messes up so much, but where they go with his storyline suggests that it is, because what they're doing and what we've seen them do with so many other stories and so many other IPs is they rewrite the past to make a female character the beginning or the impetus or somehow she's responsible for everything that happens going forward. And by the end of this particular storyline, Nori, or whatever her name is, little hobbit girl, is essentially responsible for him becoming who he becomes later. So if this is Gandalf, they're basically saying it was a girl hobbit who inspired him to decide to be a good person and help people. Like, this not only rewrites Gandalf's character, if that's him, or if he's a blue wizard, there were several wizards who were sent here to encourage humans, to encourage the elves, they had a purpose. I kind of think of them biblically, and this is going to be a bit of a stretch, but kind of like if you took, I don't know, what would be a good example? This is kind of off, but not quite. Kind of like from a biblical perspective, the Holy Spirit kind of being sent here or being here uh, for mankind, but also in this case for elves. My point is, they had a purpose when they were sent. All of the wizards came here with a reason. Their whole point was to help turn the tide against the rising darkness. The elves were waning, the people were starting to be corrupted, and they were to counterbalance that. They were to come in and help. That was their purpose. What you're doing, what they set up here, is that he doesn't know if he's good or evil. And in fact, there's a moment where he suggests they were right in thinking he was evil. And it is because of Nori that he realizes, no, I can be good. That changes everything. It changes who he is. It changes what they are. It changes why they're here. Prophets. That's a better example. Like prophets. Yeah. That's a better example. Except that they knew before they were on Earth or in Arda. It's mystery box crap. Exactly. But this is the thing that they do. And it's so frustrating because they didn't have to go this route. That's why I did a video not too long ago talking about all of the very strong women in Tolkien's work. Well, several of them. There's several more. They could have chosen any of those stories. They could have had a show where every story focused and centered around the strong women in Tolkien's lore. They could have done that. They didn't have to rewrite history. They didn't have to rewrite his lore to put female characters at the center and make them artificially powerful. Completely unnecessary. No sense. Sandra VR says Radagast would make sense since he was most in tune with the trees and such. I would argue it still doesn't because it takes away their agency. They're always talking about agency of characters, particularly female characters. But what about the agency of male characters? Because this is what it's doing. It's taking away their will, their purpose, to hand it over to a female character. It makes no sense. But there was a super chat I missed. Here we go. Michael Beacon with a $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, of course it's Gandalf. How can anyone even doubt? Subverting Tolkien is the idea. They are too unimaginative for it to be anyone else. I hope, but why? Why do they have to be so terrible? David says, I was so confused about them calling old dude Sauron. It's who they think he is. And that, okay, this is the other problem with this. I'm convinced too that these people who he encounters, and we'll get to it, but I'm convinced that they were Maiar. This is what I'm convinced about. And that raises a whole new set of questions. The progressives are atheists. That's why. I agree with you. They hate it. They're undermining every, yeah, they're undermining all of the religious underpinnings of it, of the story. His pronouns are effing idiots. The Tolkien estate, it's all their fault. It is. And this is why I don't know. It's almost like every creator now, if you know you're going against the grain with your work, you have to make it very clear what you want and don't want to happen with it, I guess. Um Caroline with a $5 Canadian super sticker. Thank you. It is an elf dropping the mic. Thank you so much. His descendants sold out his legacy. They spent the money. They have the right to do whatever they want. They do. And we have the right to complain about it. We have the right to say this is terrible and absolutely sucks. But so this is what happens. He's in the rain. He's soaking wet. He's dirty still because these people don't bathe for some reason. I don't know why no one is clean except like why no one is clean who's had anything to do with these hobbits. Like everybody's just filthy. So he sees a little person who's crawling around and he thinks it's Nori. That's who he sees initially. But as it turns out, no. It's a reveal. So they do these weird transitions but between characters. This is one thing I will say I did like. I think they spent a considerable amount of their budget on trying to get these transitions down, which would have made more sense with Sauron. That would have made more sense with him, but okay, fine. Okay, fine. So they do these transitions from what he thinks is Nori to this, I'm just going to call it a Maiar person. I forget what they're supposed to be, like some sort of cult or whatever, but the power they're exhibiting is not human. So clearly they're a lesser mystical being. So this is, she shows up, she hands him the apple because they're convinced that he's Sauron. And they have this conversation with him and amongst themselves because they're a little bit confused as to why he doesn't quite know who he is or where he's from or, why he's having trouble with his powers. So they conclude, we'll just take him back with us and he'll train and learn his powers. I guess what they're saying is they're going to help teach him how to use his powers. Makes no sense whatsoever. When the wizards came here with a purpose and with their freaking powers, breathe. Hangry is angry with a $25 super chat. Thank you. Says showing that Tolkien had strong female characters goes against their misogynistic narrative. You're right. All creative people, if male, must be misogynistic, and they must tell us about it every day and change it to their liking. Exactly. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. Their whole narrative was that Tolkien was a man of his time, as if to say he was racist. He didn't understand race. He didn't understand gender. Norms were different back then. He was ahead of his time. If you read what Tolkien, not only his story and the lore and all of that, that's fine. That's great. It's it actually is diverse. And it actually does have men and women doing all sorts of things. You have some men that are male characters who are more sensitive than others. You have female characters who are more strong than normal, who defy gender norms. But even in his writings, when he's talking about things of the day, because people would ask him how he felt about, everything from the Nazis to apartheid. He was incredibly aware of politics, of race, of racism, and he spoke to those things. Like, you don't have to guess where he stood on anything. He was asked, he was interviewed, he wrote all of these letters where he talked about it. He condemned racism in every form, in every place. And at the end of the day, a lot of his stories are about people coming together who are different and defying their differences and working together. That's the moral of the story. Like, that's the whole point of what he's trying to convey. And yet people are missing it. Those who want to are missing it left and right. So what they want to do is say no, because they're so superficial. They look at his work as superficial and decide, you know what, these female characters, some of them are feminine. They're traditional women. They're married with children and they love their husbands. And in some instances, there's an egalitarian situation. We don't like that. We want women to be in power the whole time, all the time, and exclusively by their own reasoning, by their own creation. So you erase from women in these stories that they're creating. You erase from them their families, you erase from them their fathers. If they have brothers, if they have any male influences that are positive, you have to kill them or degrade them or deconstruct them in some way. Like, that's what's happening. The women have to be the strongest, most empowered, most vocal people in every single room, in every single space. And what you find out from this story, which is the best example of what they've done in Hollywood to date, this is the epitome of it all. You end up making the very women you want to put on a pedestal as heroes the villains of their own story. That's what happened here. They have made Galadriel the cause of every evil thing to happen in Middle Earth since Morgoth was defeated. She is to blame for all of it. Like, that's what you've done in your haste to make her the most important person in the story and the cause of every single thing that happens. Well, you know what? You don't get to pick and choose. She's not just the hero then. She's also the villain. And they don't realize it. They don't see it. They don't even care. And that's not what Tolkien intended. To I can't. It's insane. It's sick. It's perverted what they've done. You're Barmy with a $2 super chat. Thank you. He says, first race Gandalf meets can't even teach him hygiene. What I don't understand is, okay, you see that you're dirty. Like, you see the dirt on your body, on your face, on your arms, and your fingernails, and you see rivers. They're there. Why don't you go and clean yourself? Like, how do you just walk around with dirt on you? Like, what is happening? One of the great things, and I don't want to get political, but one of the great things to come out of 2020 was the realization that apparently some people don't do hygiene. Like, they don't do cleanliness. I was shocked at this discovery. I had no idea. So apparently there were people who weren't washing their hands. There were people who didn't use sanitizer. And I'm just like, why? How? What is this? Maybe I'm a germaphobe. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe that's something I need to deal with. But I can't, in my mind, wrap around how they think this is okay, unless this is how they are as well. They're also dirty. That's the answer. This is the only thing I can conclude. James Dyke says, Justin, that apple certainly had more agency than God. Sinead O'Connor, Eminem, the Nars gals. We'll get to them in a second. Oh my God. This show is an embarrassment. CJ with a $5 super chat says, why are there no awesome battles in the finale? Same with She Hulk. That's what these hero shows are supposed to be about. You know why? Because they had to center everything around Galadriel, and she had to be the cause of a couple things that aren't really that interesting in the way they wrote them anyway. It was Galadriel all along. Yeah. Wait, what did that say? There's so many. Galadriel all along. I'm surprised they didn't just make that the song. Maybe that should have just been the ending song. They don't care. They don't care. A perverted bastardization, says Vertical Horizons. DC3 says, and they unintentionally make Galadriel to be the cause of all problems on Middle Earth, and they think we're retarded like the audience they cultivate. It's just insane. It's beyond asking what happened to the budget, because that was a big question a lot of people were asking. It's like, where's the budget going? That was how I felt initially, but now it's just like, no, why would you do this? J Tapia with a $1.99 super chat. Thank you. Says, hey Jane, love the stream. Thank you. I'm just trying to get through it just like you guys. Justin Malone with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Says, I still can't stand Galadriel surviving a pyroclastic effing cloud. These writers don't know how volcanoes work. They don't know how anything works. They don't know how anything works. They don't care. All the volcano did was made a couple of clean people dirty, and the dirty people dirtier. That's all it did. It just added dirt. It added another layer of dirt. G-Man with a $5 super chat says, washing in the river will create super germs that are resistant to hygiene. Is that what you want, Jane? Sassy77 says, why do they put twigs and dirt in their hair? Like their hair bows? I don't know. It's it's decoration. It's decoration. The dirty hair is decoration. They add dirt, I guess. It's so stupid. Machismo with a $5 super chat, thank you, says, hey Jane, I sent the invite for Scott's Sporkathon. Hope you're able to make it. Starts at 10 Central Standard Time. Thank you. I hope I can make it too. I'm sure I will, though. It's not gonna take too long to get through this. And everybody's gonna come over. As a matter of fact, let's see. Where are you? Let me see if I can make you a moderator so you can put the link in. Okay. So we're moving on slowly but surely through this episode. Sander Hammerslag says, although the camouflage won't be able to cover up the smell. See, that's the other thing. Don't they smell themselves? Do they not smell themselves and each other? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they're so dirty they can't even smell it. But I don't believe that. Because after the Civil War, again, a little bit of history, after the Civil War, there's so many bodies like on the ground afterward, like for months. People could smell it. So how do they not smell it? I'm sure they smell like death. I'm sure of it. Joker voice with a $10 super chat says, at least the writers finally said what they and what we've been saying about modern Hollywood when they call critics patently evil. They hate you. Love you and as on She-Hulk. Keep talking. Thank you. They did. They finally admitted it. They're finally admitting it. They're just, you know what it is? What it is that we're frustrating them so much, pushing back against their narrative that they can't take it. They're actually losing it. They're snapping. So calling us a racist didn't work. Calling us all these is and phobes didn't work. They had to elevate it to the next level of just calling us evil. You couldn't just be a person with a bad attitude or a bad opinion. Now you're just pure evil as far as they're concerned. It's like fine with me if that's what you want to believe. David McFarland with the $5 super chat, thank you. He says, I was thinking he was a blue wizard, so they threw me for a loop with that last episode. Well, again, we don't know. We don't know for sure, but it does seem like it's Gandalf. Let's keep going and see if we can discover more about this character. So they call him Sauron because they don't know that he's not. Now, here's the problem. Here's the problem from a lore perspective. I'm going to just call it now. I'm going to call it now that these are Maiar. Okay? Lesser angel beings who are evil. Not all Maiar, but these in particular. Okay. And so are the Istar. So are the wizards. So is Sauron. Someone explain to me how in a world in which you have these beings, different races of beings, different created beings, okay? Angels, elves, humans, dwarves, trolls, whatever. You would think, and again, I'm just injecting logic, you would think that they would know each other. You would think they would know each other. These are beings that were created before anyone else, before humans, before elves, before all these things. How do they not know? How are you confused about who Sauron is? Illogical. Nothing about this makes sense. And apparently nobody said, okay, if we're going to do this, we should ask ourselves some questions. How does this fit into the narrative and the world that Tolkien created? If we're rewriting their stories, does it fit logically? Does it follow what we're trying to do? It doesn't. It's like they said, we want a scene and we want these things said, but it doesn't matter if the things being said make any sense in the context of the thing that's happening on the screen. It's entirely contrived ignorance, which makes your characters look dumb. It makes them look stupid. But you're not telling us what they are doesn't change anything. It doesn't help that we don't know what they are, that you haven't confirmed what they are. We know what they are. It's not a mystery to us. And this is what caught them off guard, I think. I think what caught them off guard was that they came into a fandom that was knowledgeable. They bought an IP with a fandom attached that was massive, worldwide, and incredibly knowledgeable, thanks to Tolkien, about his characters. And listen, I don't claim to be a scholar. I don't claim to know everything. There is so much, it's too much to know. Frankly, it would take a lifetime to or, a course maybe, like if you majored in it, which some people do, to learn all of the intricacies. But there are a couple things that me as just a general reader picked up on that don't make sense to me. And this is one of them. And they didn't expect that. I don't think they saw it coming. Jay Tapia with a $1.99 super chat says, Lore Schmore. Rings of Power Writers Room. Lore Schmore. They don't care. They just said we don't care. And they didn't see it coming. They didn't see the wave of fans coming. Southeastern Kaiji with a $5 super chat says, Tolkien translated into dozens of languages for decades. And these writers think they can fool the audience. They think they can fool the audience. That's the other thing, Lucy. They're headed. He's trying to get to essentially where they're trying to get him to. That was my understanding of the map. With that being the case, why is there a conflict here? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Asmandias, thank you, says the Silmarillion is our Bible. Thank you. Thank you. That's basically how it reads. And I think some people like they find it difficult because it can be a challenge to get through for sure. But what results from that is people start to read it multiple times to try to get through it. Multiple times. So it's not just like a Song of Ice and Fire. Well, you may read a couple times here and there, whatever. No. The Silmarillion is one of those books that you pick up and just read, just for pure enjoyment. And I do it all the time. Like sometimes I would just read Silmarillion when I'm bored, I'm feeling down, I need something to get my mind off of what's going on with work or whatever. It's one of those kinds of stories. And I'm not alone in that. CJ says, with the $5 super chat, thank you. Now that we know everything was Galadriel's fault, why didn't she help the mortals in the Third Age fix her mess? Right. She should have been more active, right? It was entirely her fault. She should have been much more involved, much more responsible for what she's done, I would think. David Harvey gifted 20 memberships. Thank you. I wish it would let me highlight that. For some reason, it won't. But speaking of which, hold on. That reminds me. That actually reminds me. So, I'll take a little quick detour. In my link tree, which is in the description, it has the ability for individuals to make tips or donations or things like that if you click on that particular icon. And David Harvey did, in fact, make a donation. And let me pull it up here. A $100 donation. Thank you. I don't know if you want me to read it because it does get personal, but thank you so much for your $100 donation. If you want to make a donation, then that is certainly how you can do it, by the tips and donations thing. And that's one way of basically getting around having to deal with YouTube directly. Now, I personally have issues with PayPal, don't get me wrong, but until we can do something different, like I don't know any other way to do donations and things like that. So if you want to make a donation rather than doing a gift or membership thing or whatever, you can do that through the link tree. But thank you, David. He's been a huge supporter of the channel. Sam, with a 10-pound super chat, says, I think part of the problem is that they're under the impression that there needs to be some sort of mystery in the story. Unfortunately for them, we know what happens. The story has been told. Here's the other problem. I think what they're trying to do is create their own It's like they're trying to take what Tolkien did, twist it into their own story with their own agenda entwined within it, and have it, the outcome, the product, be something that's in their minds better. Because remember, they kept saying, we're writing the story that Tolkien never wrote, right? That's what they keep saying. So not only that, they're saying that they're writing the story that is better, that's superior to anything Tolkien ever wrote. So it's not just about creating mystery, it's about creating a whole new story. It's about perverting what he came up with. So keep that in mind. It's not just that they have a different vision. It's that their vision is to completely deconstruct what he had, what his vision was, because they're too creatively bankrupt to come up with their own. That's really what we're dealing with here. Combined with the fact that they absolutely despise him, his story, and the fans who enjoy it. So it's multi-layered. This isn't simple. What they're doing is quite layered, it's quite complex, it's a lot deeper than just a show. Latino slant, Cash App. Some people use that. I don't know that I trust Cash App yet. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. But thank you for stopping by. We'll see though. We'll see. I'm looking for other options. I think everybody is at this point, especially after what happened with PayPal and a little announcement that they would fine people for misinformation. And then they backtracked on that for now. We'll see where that goes. But that's why we have to push against this, y'all. I mean, because if we don't, that's what's next. What's next is going to be trying to silence us financially. I mean, that's what the deplatforming is all about, demonetizing people is all about. But after that comes criminal penalties. You can't, if you say this, then we're going to make it against the law. They're trying that in Canada, you know, controlling the conversation, controlling the narrative, controlling speech. JT with a $5 super chat. Thank you. He says, "Hi Jane. This is the worst and most expensive fan fiction ever made. They made the story that Tolkien would have sued." Right? And we know how he would have reacted because there was someone else who tried. I posted it on Twitter. There was someone else who was making a movie or some sort of adaptation. He very politely told that guy off. It's like, very politely. JT with the $2 super chat says, "I recommend sending money orders." You can do that too. The address for my PO box is in the description. I think all of your favorite YouTubers, whoever you watch, have PO boxes as well. That is certainly a way to do it. You're not wrong. And even me, like I'm subscribed to multiple channels. There are quite a few people who I follow and support because I'm not paying for cable. I don't watch cable anymore. So they're my cable. And I am looking for different ways to try to get money directly to them and get around these corporations. They're so annoying. And we're gonna have to do that. We're gonna have to get creative until we control our own platforms. But back to the show that we're all trying to avoid. We're talking about everything but this. Okay. What happens next? So they think he's Sauron. And they all stand and they start to kind of bow to him. These are the three women, the three Maiar, who are looking for Sauron to worship, to follow. Now, he can't control his powers, and so what they decide to do is they're going to bind him. Now, again, you can try to make that make sense. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. But they try to bind his powers. And they tried to bind him physically. Meanwhile, the hobbits, um, are here. The Harfoots are here. They're hiding in the shadows. And their plan is to rescue him. Because remember, they were going to try to warn him, but they didn't get there in time. So their plan now is to rescue him. Now, we're going to get to another weird thing here. Billy from Philly with a $5 super chat says the Rings of Power budget has to be an embezzlement scheme. Where else could the money have possibly gone? That's the question. That's the question. Sassy says, well, they blend in with the dirt. They blend in with the dirt. They do. And they did. They did. They blended in by being dirty. Sadak, I think that's the black one's name. He's the first one you see, and you know that they're planning something or whatever. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. The plan to go and rescue the stranger, it can't just be. Pay attention to this. Pay attention to this part because it's always very subtle. But no man has agency in this show at all, right? This plan to go and rescue the stranger, even though Sadak is here, right? And they're all here, it couldn't just be a plan that they all came up with. It couldn't just be a plan that they are instituting, that they're exercising, they're acting upon. No, it had to be the female hobbit's plan. It was very subtle. Well, not so much, but it wasn't direct as normal. But in this line where he's complaining about her plan, she's like, "Well, have you got a better notion? Like, have you got a better plan?" It's her plan. It's her plan. So even here, even in this moment where all we need for the hobbits to do is to just go and save the stranger, that's all you're here for? Why do you have to still insert misandry? Exactly. They worship it. They worship it. You couldn't just let this be a group effort. You couldn't just let them finally, as a people, be doing something good for a change. They've been evil throughout this entire show. You couldn't give them that moment. No. Even here, it had to be a female's idea. They're sick. They genuinely hate men. It's insane. It's insane. Pulsar echoes at SEAL Team Dirty Nose. You could say patently evil, Roberto Sabato says. Exactly. The C is right, and women. It's crazy. They hate their audience. Yeah, they hate their audience. But it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, you have to be mental. You have to be mental to be so obsessed with this modern feminist thing, this intersectional feminist thing, to insert it in every single scene. It's the same problem with She-Hulk. It's the same problem with every other piece of trash they've come up with. And they don't understand why we can look at House of the Dragon and actually enjoy it, even though it has strong women in it. The answer is simple. Because you're not diminishing the men at the same time. You're not making them super effeminate. You're not weakening them. You're not diminishing them and making them lowly and insignificant and unimportant in the story that they're a part of. Unlike in this show, where that's what they do with every single male character. Every male character, every single race, he has no agency. He has no voice. He has no idea of his own. They're such strong women, says Arthur. Not your business, you two. It's crazy. The sea is female. Yeah. Sam brings up an interesting point too. If the three cultists are servants of Morgoth, they should hate Sauron for deserting their master. Yeah, why is he not about his master's business? They should be angry. Like, what are you doing? How do you not know what you're doing? It's insane. Spartacus was another good one. Sandra, you're absolutely right. Um, a lot of very strong women, strong men, and men and women who were diverse characters, and I mean diverse in terms of their personality, not just their skin color, because it's not that superficial. That's the other problem with this show and with modern mentalities in Hollywood. They reduce diversity to skin color, but they don't change in terms of how people are individually. Like, there's no character development. All of the female characters are carbon copies of each other, and they're all the same, and all of the men are too. Like, that's not diversity. You can make everyone every color of the rainbow. That's not diversity. They don't understand that. It's superficial and borderline racist, but it's not diversity. So they try to go and rescue this person who they think is the stranger. It turns out that it's not. It's one of the Mire in disguise, and she stabs Sadak and transforms back into herself. So again, you have a lot of these transformations happening here so that you know it's possible for them to shift, to shapeshift, but we don't see Sauron shapeshift. Like, you would think that the final scene would be Sauron shapeshifting, like, to demonstrate that. But no, they don't do that. They waste that budget on these women who don't exist in the story and shouldn't even be here, who have no purpose. It doesn't even make sense. Meanwhile, he's over laying on the ground. He sees what's going on. He's awakened or whatever, and he decides to fight back to try and protect the Harfoots. They get into this back and forth between him and them with their powers. And again, this was not a bad scene. It just seemed wasted. It seemed wasted for where this should have been, which should have been the battle between Galadriel and Sauron. Like, that's where you should have used all of the magic and shapeshifting stuff. Like, we don't care about these people who shouldn't be here. Like, none of this should be happening. This isn't part of the story, and yet here we are. It's just, you're wasting your budget on stuff that doesn't matter. And it literally doesn't matter, because guess what's going to happen? They get the best of him, grab some fire. We've seen the fire trick before, and starts trying to set the hobbits on fire. Okay, fine, whatever. Brandyfoot, Nori, comes over with the staff for Gandalf, not Gandalf, and tells him he's good. He's questioning, like, while all of this is happening, they're having a private little conversation over here. And he's like, no, I'm bad. They told me who I am. I'm bad. I'm terrible. I'm evil. And she's like, no, you're not. You're not evil. You are what you choose to be. You choose by what you do. But let me tell you what you are. You're here to help. You're good. You're good, Gandalf. It's so stupid. She tells him who he thought. He actually says in this scene, I didn't clip it, but he says that he felt deep down. He says either here or later, but he felt deep down that what they were saying about him was right. He was evil. So up until this moment, he believes he's evil, and he knows deep down that they're right, that he's evil. But she changes his perspective, and so he rises up, and he decides to fight back. He gains his strength because of this hobbit girl. And then they realize, no, he's not Sauron. He's the other, the Istar. He is. I am good. I am Groot. And he blasts them into Narsgals or whatever. Jesus. This show. Arthur says, bro, he's a white cis dude. Obviously, he can't think for himself. Duh. Is this not the dumbest thing? Tina Bojan, hello, says, wow, this show sounds ridiculous. I'm glad I stopped at episode 3. Everyone who stopped along the way, some people stopped at 1, 2, 3. Bravo. You've saved yourself so much. You've saved yourself so much heartbreak. This is so insane. I'm surprised a man beat up 3 women. Incredible writing. Incredible. I'm Iron Man. I am gay. I am filthy. I need a bath. This is insane. You're good, man? Cross purposes. Hello. The Narsgals. It is insane. I guess so. I guess this is what they're supposed to be, the first ones of their kind. Man. What is this image? Oh my god. It's so bad it's funny. This is what they did. Oh yeah, we don't get the Don Limitless line either. He's not in this episode. It's insane. This whole situation is dumb. Everybody's just like, what? Screaming. Wait. Bush says Jane theory. Is that closed captioning? Is that closed captioning the audience? Oh my god. Yes. Is the audience screaming? It's us. They wrote us into this. Oh my god. They both. Oh my god, this show. This show. Us. We're screaming. Dixie Chicks. Okay, so we're almost done. Flash forward because they're gone. They're disintegrated. And we get to a conversation the next morning between him and Nori. And they discuss what he is. He's a wizard. As if we didn't know that. But he doesn't say what his purpose is or anything like that. Apparently he's a wizard, but has no particular purpose until he gave her one. And her family, everybody's packing up and ready to go on their wandering journey. But her family packs her a bag and surprises her with it. They drop a bag in front of her. And this can go, you can interpret this different ways. On the one hand, you can look at it like, we see that you're part of something bigger. You have these hopes and dreams. You're constantly complaining about being around us. You want to go. So go off and see the world. You can see it that way. The other way you can see it is you're doing nothing but causing us problems. You've been causing us trouble since the day you were born. So you know what? Bye. You're old enough to get out, go to college, get a job, get out of the house. You're gone. So they literally pack her a bag and drop it in front of her, like, get out. Get out. Get the hell out, says Roger. Kryptonian Jedi says they kicked her the hell out. Peace. Get out. They did. They got rid of her. They're just glad to get rid of her. She was the true peril. She was. She caused so many problems for them. And so they got rid of her. Bye. she's the one Harfoot they can smell. Oh my god. She got voted off of the island. Justin said, our feet are bigger than our hearts. Wait. Oh, is Nori really Sauron? She should be. They think so, apparently. They're getting her out of there, just in case. So she's out. She's out. And they have moved on. The black one died. I don't know what happened to him. I guess they left him there. That's what they do. They leave people behind. So they literally packed their child a bag and put her out. But here's the thing. They couldn't just let her go. They couldn't just have a scene where the two of them, her and the stranger, the wizard, go off on their own adventure. It couldn't just be that they're friends now and they're going to go off and discover the wide world. It couldn't just be that. No. They had to frame it as they do everything to where he can't do it without her. He needs her. He doesn't know he's good without her. He can't go off into the world to do whatever is his new purpose without her. Do you see? Like, they cannot give it a break. They can't give him a moment. They can't give him anything. You're Barmy with a $2 super chat. Thank you. He says, imagine how annoying a tag team duo of Gandalf Nori. Absolutely the most annoying thing. How did she not annoy him? Ugh. Patently evil Harfoots. Jay says, letting your young child just go walking off into the world with a perfect stranger sounds like the plot of Pokemon. But yeah, they can't. It's all about her. It's all about her. It's not about him. And that's it. That's the end of their tale. Gandalf, not Gandalf, and Nori go off into the wide world together because she needs him, and he's only good because of her. He's only good because of her. Ruby with a $5 super chat, thank you, says, according to the showrunner, Sauron is going to start making ultra pure meth next season. They turned the mytho into a drug. He's going to be a dope dealer. Walter White. I heard that quote. Yeah. He's going to be like Walter White. Like, okay. To Catch a Predator. Next episode features not Gandalf. To Catch a Predator. Man. Roger Nichols says, so women got to teach him to be a wizard. Yes. That's one of the points that came out of this season, is that it was a female hobbit who taught Gandalf, possibly, or a wizard, to be a wizard. Why? But that's what you get out of this. Women do it better, yeah. So that was their point of that. Move over. We're back to the elves. Brandon. Kryptonian Jedi with the $2 super chat says they will travel the world solving crimes. Well, she will. He'll be standing in the background, congratulating her. She did so well. So well. The Harfoots will become junkies. So we're back here, and now y'all remember when Galadriel and Halbrand took off on the horses, Halbrand looked fine. I mean, he was on his deathbed, and then he wasn't. He was up, and he was on the horse, and they galloped away. And I guess for 6 days, they've been galloping nonstop. Nonstop. Did she try to kill him? Did she try to kill him? And why is any of this working? I mean, we know it's fake, but they don't know how horses work. Right. Are these super horses? Why aren't the horses falling down? Why are the horses alive? We've been galloping for 6 days straight, nonstop. No food. Exactly. No food, no water, 6 days straight. And he's on death's door. He's on death's door. Beowulf's Revenge says, and somehow, not Sauron survived a septic gut wound while riding hell for leather for 6 days. Also, how are those horses still alive after being that hard for that long? Rode that hard for that long. Yeah. Somehow in the writer's room, in the scene when they were piecing it together, the producers, the directors, everybody looked at this line and said, yeah, we're going with that. But they'd all be dead. No, they're fine. They're fine. But the horses, they're magical horses. It's fine. This would have been an opportunity to show Galadriel using magic, maybe. Coulda. Didn't. Did not do it. She didn't ask any questions. Galadriel was like, okay, I guess humans do this. I guess this is how horses work. So he goes off to be tended to by the elven doctors, and Galadriel goes off to talk to Elrond. Elrond comes to her immediately and like, what are we to do? We're running out of time. What are we going to do? Because Galadriel is the one with all the answers. No male in this show has answers to any questions. He couldn't just be telling her the plan. Like, while you're away, this is what we came up with. This is what we're going to do. No. It's what do you think? What should we do, Galadriel? We need you to tell us. I should have trusted you. It was a mistake. You were right. You were so right. You're so right. Oh, yeah. And by the way, everything involving her is praising her. Everything she's done nothing right this entire show. She's done nothing that she should have. She's been completely evil and rude and disrespectful. But no, she was right all along. You're the only one with the uterus. We need your guidance. Why is he so subservient? This is how they prefer men. It's almost like they said, well, we have men in the show. We can't completely do away with them. So let's make them subservient to all of the women. So, yeah. External validation. Lucy, Mal, exactly. That's what it is. External validation. But after he gets done kissing her butt, she gives him this advice: swim. Now, this is a reference to the conversation they were having where she talked about how when she jumped off the ship, she did it because she thought she wasn't worthy. Now, that's not what she did. It's not why she did it. We saw why she did it. Because she's arrogant and egotistical and thought she knew better than everyone else, and she was vengeful. That's why she jumped off. So in the water, she didn't know what to do, so she swam. That was her answer. And that's what she's telling him. That's her advice to him. What do we do now? We're running out of time, our people are dying. What do we do? Her advice: swim. We swim. And look at that face. Wayne's World. The sea failed us that day. Should have drowned. James, we're on dry land. This is it. Swim if you can't fly. Resting thumbnail face. This is insane. This is insane. Smugness incarnate. Exactly. Scooter says, I swam for 6 days straight to get back. Oh my God. This is it. This is Slim. This is her advice. So, flash forward, and God, y'all, Halbrand. Halbrand was on death's door, and then he's on horseback, galloping away. He's on death's door, and now he's sneaking about the castle. Can you writers please stop with this whiplash? I mean, you're giving me, stop with the back and forth. You're giving me whiplash. What are we to take away? Did no one see him? I mean, presumably he would be monitored like 24/7. But they're just like, no, it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna leave you to roam the castle. Oh, someone saw this scene and thought it made sense. This is what happens though when you collapse what should be hundreds of years into about 2 hours. Yeah. James Dyke said he's sneaking in broad daylight in the open. In the open. Don't call my name. Don't call my name. Caliber Moore. Jay Darklighter. Oh my God. Sanders says can't wait for hospitals to start giving terminal patients horse riding therapy. Thousands of years even, yeah. Stephen Lanuto with a $2 super chat, thank you, says Harfoot's pulled a drinker on Nori. Go away now. Go away now. I can't do the accent. That's exactly what they did. Oh. Congo Red Jr. says movies and TV shows are a vehicle. That's it. A vehicle to deliver propaganda in a way that is palatable to the masses. It is no more right than in this show. It's like, nah, I'll be fine. Well, you were dying a minute ago. You were literally like we saw you on the bed dying. No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm okay. So he goes in, he pretends to be looking for Galadriel. And Celebrimbor says, this was the workshop of Celebrimbor. Sir, why are you speaking of yourself in the third person? JDA with a 79 with a $2 super chat, thank you, says smoke weed every day. I think the writers could have used some. 'Tis but a flesh wound, says Michael Carney. 'Tis a scratch. 'Tis a scratch. The elves put some Neosporin on it. He's fine. It's okay. That elf magic medicine stuff is amazing. He's fine. So here we go. Oh, wait. Robitussin. Robitussin. Oh my God. Paul Rollo says Celebrimbo has a closet full of the same maternity gowns. What is with the costumes in this show? What is with the costumes? Why does he have nothing else to wear? They wear the exact same clothing the entire time. Are the elves just I mean, I'm this leads me to believe that they don't bathe either. They're only clean because they happen to not be physically in the dirt. But otherwise we would see layers of dirt on them too. They don't change clothes. Jared says the show's budget is too small for a large wardrobe. It is, I guess. Super cheap costumes and only one of each. Only one of each. Bush says, Jane theory. Tolkien never explicitly said that his characters change clothes. You're not wrong. He didn't specifically say it. He left it out so they get to do what they want. Nightgowns. Oh my God. So they have a very awkward conversation about his master who used to tell him about Celebrimbor, and no one asked the question, who was your master? Do I know this guy? What was his name exactly? He gets shown the jewels. And this stranger who Celebrimbor has only just met. Let me go back. Hold on one second. Oh, I don't think I did. I don't think I cut that one. But he tells him his whole plan. He doesn't know Halbrand from Adam. He doesn't know him from a hole in the ground. But he goes on to tell this man everything. Now, I don't know about you. And maybe they didn't think it was important. Okay, maybe they didn't think it was that significant. Maybe they didn't perceive him as a threat. But I feel like this is elven business. Like, why are you telling him everything that you're doing? Infinity stones. QVC jewels. They do look plastic. They do look plastic. And there's a close-up. Just wait. Just wait until you see it. Celebrimbor says, just thought, oh, this hot guy likes my stuff. He likes my stuff. He is the great deceiver. But he's not deceiving anyone. He's not deceiving anyone but Celebrimbor. Flying All Night says, you meet one of your idols and he's wearing the same nightgown your grandmother wears. What is happening? It does look like candy. Little sweets. It actually does look like candy. Rock candies. They do look delicious. Oh, I'm not going to say. Oh my God. So here we go. He grabs them. Okay, that's the other thing. This is what I was going to get to. He grabs them because they're just here. They're on display for some reason. And so Halbrand grabs the ore. It's the ore that's on display. He grabs the ore and he starts giving advice about how to formulate the rings. He just because he's told Halbrand his whole process and the problems that he's having with it. And so, not Sauron explains to him basically how to fix this problem, how to make it work, how to make the rings. Cat Shark with a $5 super chat, thank you, says, I know what they are. The friggin' ring pops of power. The ring pops of power. That would be a fun marketing thing. They should do that. Because that's ultimately what it looks like. Okay, Varingjar138 says, this is the 450 years or whatever of Sauron teaching the elves the art of ring making. Exactly. Okay, so here's the other problem. I'm glad you mentioned that. This is something that is taking place over hundreds of years. They're making rings, not these rings, okay? But they're making tons of other rings, sort of really kind of in practice, even though they're for other people around the earth, but they're kind of practice for these 3 particular rings. But Sauron isn't involved in the making of these rings. And that's kind of an important point in the story, that he's not directly involved in the making of these rings. But what this show said was, what we're going to do is we're going to cut all of that out. We don't understand why they're making the other rings. We don't understand the conflict amongst the characters. We don't understand why Sauron left. We don't understand why he's not a part of these rings. We don't understand why it's important that that's a key plot point. They said, we don't care. It's cooler to do it this way. And so we are. Spork in his podcast says, after the amazing Jane is done, come to our Sporkathon. And he has his link. Are you a mod? I hope so. Let me check. There is a Sporkathon. Yeah, you're a mod. Okay, great. Ring pops. They are ring pops. Rings from the bubblegum machine. When you see the close-up, I just want you to see what they look like up close. I want you to see what they look like up close. So after he tells them basically how to forge the rings or forge the ore into whatever shape, they come up with the shape later. But after he describes to them how to make it bind, he refers to it as a gift. And that's a callback to his actual character and what he did. But that's all it's just, they go back to the books just to get words, but not to actually understand the story. So they go to Gilgalad, and they're trying to explain, look, we need more time. We're on the cusp of something here. We figured it out. We can do this. But Gilgalad is like, I'm sorry, sorry, we're not going to be able to do it. We've run out of time. So we're going to go home. Now, mind you, once again, everybody's wearing the same clothes that they've worn throughout the show. And nobody on set, and nobody behind the scenes, and nobody in post-production said, maybe this isn't smart. Maybe we should get some more costumes in play here. Maybe we can do that. No, they didn't take the time to do that. It's a grift. Latino Slant says, character motivation, conflict, plot twist, and dialogue. None of it you will find here. You may pass. Oh my God. They're not Al-centrist. They're talking about the thing the rings are put in, like the actual ring, not the gemstone. Which, I mean, good point. Asmodeus says Sauron is explicitly not involved in making the elven rings. In Lord of the Rings, Galadriel said Sauron never touched those. He never touched those in the books either. They were made in secret after the betrayal of Sauron. Ugh. When James says, I sure hope he doesn't change his mind in the next scene. It's weird. It's weird. $1 billion budget, says Roberto. $1 billion budget. Now, this is a good point, Paul. It looks like they filmed it all in one day. I wouldn't be shocked either. If they did, you could film all of the scenes involving all of the characters, like their storylines, each in one day. You could absolutely do that because nothing happens. Solomon says, why don't any elven males have blonde hair? That's a good catch too. I think it's because it highlights her. By having her be the light through her hair, maybe that's why. It continues to have her like in the center of attention. But that's a good catch too. Yvonne says, why are elven males not male? Says Evan. Why are the elven males not males? It makes no sense. And it's interesting to me too that they made the most skilled of the elves, Celebrimbor, an old man. Like, what an interesting decision. Why don't they have long hair? Because they have to be femrods. Femrons. Sam says the Noldor canonically have dark hair. Okay. Not all of them, though. Not all of them. I think it's interesting that all of them have dark hair in this show. Why are there old elves? They age, but they age very slowly, and none of them look this old. Like, their ages don't match anything. I think, isn't Galadriel the oldest one in this room? Like, it doesn't even make any sense how they've cast them. There are no blonde men in the show. I honestly think it has nothing to do with the lore. Clearly they don't care about lore. This is about highlighting her. By having her be the blonde character, it's one of the reasons why even in other works, now I'll give them a little bit of credit here. In a lot of other works, you'll notice that there's whoever is the main female who's the focus or center of attention, she will typically be the blonde, right? And everyone around her will be a darker person or darker hair. I think that's what that's about. It's just to draw attention. I think I won't read too much into that. And so he tries to make his case as to why he should be given more time. The king is like, no, everybody's going to leave. We're all dying, whatever. But in making his argument, Galadriel remembers what Adar had said. And these words are repeated. And she knows that they're coming from Halbrand. So this raises in her suspicion that he isn't quite who he seems. That there's something else going on here. Now, she should have been suspicious all along. She should have done her homework before having this man crowned king. Maybe vet him a little bit. Maybe. But she doesn't do that. She doesn't do that. So it's only now that she's starting to put two and two together. So she goes to the room where they're back working on the rings. And she's looking, she's staring at them because it's so suspicious. Like, oh my God, who is this guy? Who is this guy I brought to Middle Earth? Who is this guy I've been fighting alongside? Who is this guy I had crowned king of the Southlands? Who is this guy that I was falling in love with? I don't know. I don't know who he is. Cute, suspicious face. I didn't care before. I didn't do any research. I didn't do any homework. I didn't ask anybody. I didn't look anything up. But now I wonder. He's a supervisor. She is so small, yeah. So she's having her concerns, and she ultimately gets this guy, one of the other elves there, to do her homework for her. Now, we've seen her go into the library back in Numenor, and she did her, she didn't do her homework, but she looked through some things there. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have her go into storage or go into the library or whatever and do her own homework and look it up and find for herself that he isn't who he says he is? Just you go and do it. Why aren't you having someone else do it? That's Spock. It's Spock. It is Spock. The elves are Vulcans. Marox says it will require a new set. Yeah, because apparently they can't afford more than one library. That would be illogical. It would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see her go into their library and find her answers herself. But they have to show her demonstrating power and authority over another male character. Robert McDonald with a $20 super chat, thank you, says Sauron was never in any real danger of dying from his wounds, right? But since they couldn't show that Haldor was Sauron, or Halbrand was Sauron, for BS mystery issues, it makes no sense in the story. Horrible story development. Terrible. It makes no sense in the story, and it makes no sense visually. Like how they went about it. But again, if they had inserted some sort of transformation taking place, if they'd shown us what was happening, then we could follow along. Instead, it looks like he's down, he's up, he's down, he's up, he's half dead, he's alive, he's half dead, he's alive. It's like, which is it? What is it? Why is he doing this? What's freaking happening in the show? I can't unsee the Vulcans now. That set looks so bad. Yeah, I haven't even talked about the set. Look at it, y'all. Look at this. Compare this to House of the Dragon. Compare this to any scene in House of the Dragon. This looks like a stage play. It's a set. Like a real set. Like somebody just put that up with plastic or something, or wood carving that they built. It's not even painted well. Look at what's supposed to be. That's supposed to be brick or stone. It's clearly painted. It's clearly fake. And the plants around it look like they came from Hobby Lobby. Like, what is this? What Amazon? Amazon. What is your budget? Mike has bad knees was a $10 super chat said, now they could have redeemed the show and showed her having some growth by having her realize that in her thirst for revenge, she mistakenly enabled Sauron, but no, she's perfect. That could have been her character development. But here's the thing, with this whole modern feminist intersectional thing, when they write stories, it can never be her having a fault that actually results in her suffering consequences. Because the thing that would trigger growth and development, the thing that would cause that, they see it as a weakness. They see it as a weakness. So she can't experience that. She can't experience the pain of knowing what she's done, of realizing it and having to deal with it, having to face what she is and what she's done. They can't have that because she's right. She's right all along. Lucy says the whole Sauron plot needs too many coincidences. A soap opera set. That's a good one too, yeah. But I think even daytime soap operas have better they have better sets than this. Justice is $1 billion. Looks like the set of Fraggle Rock. Star Trek, the original series, had more convincing sets. Y'all are killing me. The old and the ringless. So this guy who was on death's door when he was brought to Eregion, on death's door, is up and about helping forge the rings, having all these various conversations. He's not limping. He's not hurt. He's not injured. He's perfectly healed. Forget about all of that just happened that led up to this. Forget about it. Nothing matters. It's fine. Ron McDonald with the $20 super chat, thank you, says Blanche DuBois saying in third person past tense that the workshop was once his would not have been as jarring if they had already said they all were leaving for Valinor immediately first. It makes no sense. It makes no sense in any context. There's no way to make anything that's happened since they've been here make logical sense. It's like the writers gave up. I mean, I don't even know if they ever tried, but they gave up at this point. Could have Vulcan in Middle Earth. I hope it's the end of the show too. So she complains about how he's spending so much time with Celebrimbor. You spend all your time with him. You're not spending any time with me. I mean, that's what it comes across as. And of course, he immediately goes to praising her. You're borrowing with the $2 super chat. Thank you. Says Eric Clapton, cocaine, favorite of production team. He's praising her. She's suspicious of him. His immediate reaction is to start praising the ground she walks on. You pushed me to heights that no one else could have. You saved me. He's not wrong. He goes through the list of all the things she did, including bringing him to Middle Earth in the first place, having him crowned king, telling him he could be great, all of these things. She pumped up him. Didn't ask a question about who he was or what he was doing or anything. Didn't care, but she gave him the confidence to become Sauron. Push me to new heights. He said everything except I love you. Galadriel. Manipulative hand right here. Again, everybody praises her for no reason, Sander. Exactly. You are so beautiful. You're so great. How Sauron got his groove back. it's literally that. This is literally the show. And it's her. She's the reason. She is the reason. She's the reason. Marco Glory says thought versus simp, the $1 billion story we deserve. I'm dead. This is it. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is what I mean by unintended consequences. They write stuff like this and they don't even see it. They don't even realize what they've done. Oh my god. What is this show? Someone needs to write an article, a study. Someone should do a study on this. Thank you, Galadriel. Thank you. I give up. I'm done. I'm done. This would be the moment to walk away. This would be the moment to walk away. Thank you. Thank you, Galadriel. Yes, thank you for just fating Middle Earth to the darkness. Thank you. Cheers. Someone should do a financial audit of this show. There should be an investigation. Wait. He should get on his knees first. Oh my god. Yeesh. Yeesh. I can change him. First episode was a moment to walk away. It was. It was. But if you survived to this point, this would have been where you just cut it off. Just cut it off. Just walk away. Sauron is just misunderstood. That's Andy. He's just misunderstood. Why is she shorter than him? It's a good question. Raylos. Oh my god. Wow. Wow. Running with Scissors, but you can't judge the show till you see season 2. There will not be a season 2. There won't be. There can't be. Not with the same people. Stephen Lanuto says, with a $2 super chat, thank you, says Galadriel needs a frowny face as her war banner. The rings help her to forget. Oh, but it gets better. It gets better. So after this conversation, I guess he sweet talked her into calming down. So she's all better now. She goes back and they're working on the rings and it's not working. Stuff isn't binding, whatever. Apparently, according to her, they're pushing themselves too hard. Pushing themselves too hard. We've been pushing ourselves too hard. Ma'am, you were not involved. You have not been here forging these rings. You're just bossing everybody around. Why are you even here? Why are you here? I know why. It's to give them inspiration. So now they've made it so that not only is she responsible for Sauron being in Middle Earth, for giving him the confidence to be his old self again. But she's given them inadvertently given them what they needed to forge the rings. Oh my God. It's her. It's all her. They can't come up with a single idea of their own. Can't come up with a single thought that didn't come from her. These writers are psychotic. They're psychotic. Galadriel's the real villain of the show, says Jabbering Jester. She's effing evil. Oh my God, Robert McDonald with a $50 super chat. Thank you. Says this episode shows Sauron is the dumbest bad guy in history. All the elves are leaving. He just has to do nothing. And Middle Earth is his. He's the reason they find a way to stay in Middle Earth. Dumbest bad guy in history. It's because how they've written it. It's because of how they've written it, and they don't even see. And what's so bad about it is that he told Celebrimbor told him the plan. And it only okay, so let me back up a little bit. It makes less sense also because they've eliminated his making all the other rings for the non-elven races. So it's like so if all he's doing is making the rings for the elves and the elves are leaving, you have no problem. Do you see? You're right. You're right. You're right. They don't see what they've done. You're right. It boggles the mind. It's baffling the level of stupid in the show. Baffling. Sam says, why would they make 16 more rings? They aren't. Apparently that's not going to happen. There aren't going to be more rings. There can't be. Why would there be? And to be frank, there could have been more. There could have been more. There's no reason to believe there weren't. Oh, Centra says they have not seen what they have done. I'm in shock. I'm in shock right now. Stephen Lanuto with a $5 super chat, thank you, says Sauron achieves world domination by promising Galadriel a DoorDash date. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, these three rings were made after the others because the others were essentially practice or sort of from their perspective. From his, not so much. He knew exactly what he wanted to do with those rings. They should split some fries. But they don't care. They don't care. It's just they didn't even think about it. They didn't think about it. So she's given them the idea of how to forge the ore because they didn't know how. Why would they? So we have another conversation. Another one. Another conversation. And this is the one where she confronts him. Now, at this point, she has her information. She knows who and what he is now. And she confronts him with it. And they have the moment that the writers of this show are so proud of. They're so proud of this next couple of scenes. So she drops down the family tree, showing that the Southland King died like 1,000 years ago or whatever, and he had no heir. He had no heir. Now, technically, this doesn't say anything because, I mean, he could be the descendant of a cousin, a nephew. Like, I mean, he could still be an heir. So it doesn't really prove anything. Thanks to you, there is now. But I mean, you just crowned him king. You made him king. Yeah, says Party Pucks. All of a sudden, she's suspicious now. You made him king. He is king now. So he again goes into praising her. Because he figures it'll work a second time. So he praises her. You saved me. He reveals who he is. And he sees she's a little shocked by this. She's a little taken aback. And so he puts her in her safe space. He gets into her head. Well, she tries to attack him because she realizes he confirms it. So he puts her in her safe space. He takes her back to when she was a child, to her happiest memory when she's with her brother. Oh my God, it's Sauron. And he basically tries to twist in her head what her brother was fighting for. No, it wasn't to fight Sauron. It was to ensure peace. And that's all Sauron wants too. He just wants peace. So this is what you do, Galadriel. This is what you do. I know you know I'm Sauron. I know you know I'm evil. You know that now. You know the truth. You know I can't be trusted. But I want you to do this one thing for me. Because you're great and you're beautiful and only I see it. Let the work proceed. This thing I'm working on secretly. You don't know my motivations. You don't know why. You don't know what evil I'm up to, but let me do it. Let me get away with it. Let it go. She thinks to herself, I can change him. Trust me. Trust me, bruh. And touch my darkness. No. You think we're kidding. This is what he actually says. Touch the darkness once more. Bravo. Bravo. In the writer's room, they cheered. They cheered. They cheered this line. Lucy asked a good question. Why her brother and not her husband? Because we can't have him in this. It is insane. This is insane. Please do. Oh my God. Is this the writer's fetish? Fetish, says Elliot Armstrong. I think so. Oh my God. Hammers, you're right. You're right, Hammer Biotech. He did try repentance. But yeah, this is what they've done. It's all been a manipulation. I can't highlight some of your statements. Poor dialogue. Like, right, what are you doing, Step Elf? JJ Abrams is so proud. Oh my god. Jared says, so the tempest in her was actually her brother the whole time. Oh my god. Grab that darkness. Touch the what? Oh my god. Stephen Lanuno with the $2 super chat. I've got some fries for you to go. Says Halbrand. This is insane. This is absolutely insane. So, this is what happened. She's not convinced. So he's down. Galadriel, come back to me. Come back to me. So that didn't work. So he flips her back into a different world, a different space. Because again, they can't afford multiple sets. So they're back on the raft. And he throws her words back at her. He's right. Like, look, you said whatever I've done, I can be free from it. She did. She said that. You can be free from it. And so he makes a proposal. Literally. Literally. He's like, look, it could be you and me against the world. You and me against the world. I alone can see your greatness. And that he did. He played on this whole thing of nobody else understands you. The elves didn't want you, but I do. I see you. I love you. He didn't say love, but he came real close. I would make you a queen. And they do this weird thing where they get the real close-ups of their faces for emphasis. Why would he pick her? She's awful. Right? There you go. James Dyke says, so Sauron only goes bad because Galadriel broke his heart? Yes. He is an incel. This is what they've turned this story into. Incel. This is what they did. It was a weird incel love story all along. This is all they think about. This is all they think about. Again, we go back to the same thing, the same narrative. Whenever they're writing these stories, especially when it's from this modern feminist intersectional perspective, they always go back to the same themes and the same stereotypes that they have of men, the same negative derogatory attitude they have. So you can't even have a villain just be a villain. Like, you can't just have Sauron be Sauron and have him have his own reasons why he chooses to be bad. It's more so she has to be the impetus for everything. She has to be the cause. And because she's so good, his badness has to revolve around her. And so why are men bad? Oh, well, they're incels. So this is what they do. They can't help themselves. They have to insert it into everything. What other show did we see it in? We saw it in She-Hulk. We see it in pretty much everything they come up with now because it's the same thing over and over. They have no creativity. They're not trying to be original. They're trying to convey this message of how much they hate men and why. And that's why you see the exact same stories over and over and over again. And so, yeah, it's because of her that he turned bad, because she rejected him. And they literally have him physically, like you can see his face start to degrade a little bit. It's not a true transformation that we should have seen, but you do see him degrade and become darker and darker, all because he rejected her. And he rejects her after multiple scenes of praising her. Everything about her is greatness. We don't see her actually be great. We don't see her do anything worthy of being a queen. But he says it, it's in his head. Just like this is how they see themselves. And he's like, together we can save Middle Earth. And she's like, you mean rule or rule? He's like, there's no difference. And that's why I'll never be at your side. That's why I'll never be at your side. Now, what's interesting about that is that she did want her own domain to rule in Middle Earth. She did. The one thing they would have gotten right was that she wanted her own little place to rule. So that's the thing you flip. That's the reason she doesn't want to be with him, because she doesn't want to rule. That's precisely what she actually does want to do. And does. And does. Like, what do you mean? I mean, maybe not all of Middle Earth, but she does. Her and her husband rule a realm. I swear these people are insane. Bill Paulson with the $10 super chat, thank you, says $60 million an episode and state-of-the-art CGI, but we get a few fakey sets from Fraggle Rock that were repeated throughout the season. Was this a tax scam? Allegedly. I believe it. There needs to be an investigation. There's no excuse for this. She could have ended it right there. Technically, this is a dream, though. It's not actually happening, but she could have woken up and killed him. Joseph Dredd says, but Galadriel can kill orcs upside down. She doesn't want to kill him. You know why? Because she is in love with him. James said, a queen rules by herself, sister. That's more believable. More believable is that she doesn't want to join him because she wants to be the boss. I mean, at this point, that's all we have. What husband? Exactly. The husband who's missing for some unknown reason. Sandra says she doesn't want to be queen. She wants to be king. She wants to be king. You think she'll share power? Absolutely not. She's insulted that he dared want to share power with her. He's trying to save Middle Earth from her. It's absurd. Jen Korea with a $1.99 super chat, thank you, says rings of power, retardants of power. She wants to be the boss. She would never share power. Never. Reeks of pee. Sauron was the real hero all along, says average British nerd. Defund Galadriel. Hashtag defund Galadriel. Wow. I mean, this is character assassination. This is character assassination. They're assassinating the character of not only Galadriel, but also Sauron. Like, how do you do that? How do you achieve that? And yet they've managed to do it. So he flips it. He's like, okay, fine, cool. You don't want to be my queen? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because I'll tell him you were my friend. I'll tell him it was all your fault. You're the reason why I'm here. I'll tell them. I'll tell them the truth. I'll tell them the truth. That Sauron lives because of you. It's understood. It's all your fault. Oh, Centra says, why does every woman want to be king, not queen in Hollywood now? There are more great queens in media than kings. I can tell you why. Because they see queen and everything feminine and traditionally associated with women. One, they see it as weak, and two, it undermines the it, it bolsters the concept of there being a difference between women and men. And they're trying to blur those lines. So part of it is this whole gender war that's happening. They want women to be men and men to be women. This show, everything is stupid. The patriarchy. The patriarchy. And yeah, this is the concern I had to Shield Wall of Dragons. There are people who will say, okay, well, we still have Tolkien's written work. It doesn't really matter what the show is doing. But the truth is, it does matter. Because for a lot of people, this is going to be their first experience. And it may be their very last. Because it's so bad. And I know I would hate that. Now I do see like more and more people going to the books because they just can't believe this. And frankly, a lot of the fans have been doing a great job of encouraging people to go back into the books and look at the actual lore to see what's happening. So maybe, maybe it won't be so bad after all, but that is a major concern that they're turning people away from traditional stories with these reboots and reimaginings. Stephen Lanudo with the $2 super chat, thank you. So Sauron was for equal rights. Oh, he was egalitarian. He was a good guy. What has he done wrong yet? Emma Serial with a $5 super chat, thank you, says she's in front of a powerful entity and has a chance to turn him to a different path. But oh no. No. She won't do that. She's going to turn him as evil as she is. She's going to turn him as evil as she is. It's all her fault. Oh my god. We're almost done. We're almost there. We're almost there. So she goes on to threaten him. She's gonna kill him. You're gonna die. You're gonna die because of me. Okay, sure, Jan. She wakes up underwater in the pool or whatever, pool of water, little lake. And it's Elrond who wakes her up, but they don't show it. They don't show him actually physically helping her because God forbid. And she can't just wake up, weak. Again, God forbid. So she wakes up with her dagger in hand and she's trying to kill him. And she's like, how do I know it's you? Which I didn't understand this part because what? You're awake. You're clearly awake now. How do you not know you're not under the spell anymore? You're not. Okay, so she does this. And he tells her their first encounter when he was a child. And I don't, she saves him. He's basically an orphan without friend or kin. Now, this isn't true either. This didn't happen. Just for record purposes, this didn't happen. This did not happen. This is not his story. This is not his backstory. And not only that, so how did he end up with his family? This is a question I have. How did he end up with his family, the people who actually took him and raised him as their own, if he was just randomly found by her? Are they going to rewrite Elrond's history as well? That he was found and raised by Galadriel? I don't even know what's happening in this scene. Mike has bad knees with your $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, can't Galadriel read minds? I don't think they've given her any magic here, but she would be able to perceive what he's thinking and know. But of course, that's a good point too, because if she had the ability to use her magic in the show, she would have done it all along, I guess. So she doesn't. She can't, I guess. I don't know. Who hasn't she saved? This is a good point too. She just experienced Sauron reading her mind, but she asked for information to prove Elrond. She hasn't asked for information to prove anything up until this point. She hasn't asked for information to prove, yes, he was Sam. But apparently, none of that happened. He has no backstory that doesn't involve her. We're getting right there, Cyril. It's almost over. He was randomly found. Yeah, just hanging out, lost, abandoned, and alone. Death says Elrond was found in a basket at the river Nile. Oh my god. Please, orphans. This is insane. This is this show. Yeah, you're right. Tolkien didn't say she didn't save him. He didn't say specifically it didn't happen. So I guess it happened. Let my elves go, says Sandra. She's so amazing. So after she's satisfied that it is Elrond and that Halbrand or Sauron is gone, she goes back to the forge and she tells them, we can't have one, we can't have two, we must make three. So even that's her fault. The powers we forge today must be for the elves alone. Well, that was kind of the point. That was kind of the point, but okay. It's her idea. It's all her idea. Everything is her idea. In case you haven't figured it out. How has he gone? Who knows? You're asking too many questions. You're asking too many questions. Stephen Lanuto with the $5 super chat. Thank you. It says blinder than Daredevil. Seeing what she's seen, but still can't see. She still can't see. Sanders says next season there will be hobbits in space. Tolkien didn't say they never did go into space. He didn't. He didn't say it. It was never said. Galadriel is a psychopath. Okay, Lucy says, why don't nobody ask her about her wet? Look, they did. They said she was wetter than a river rock. She was wetter than a river rock. This is their dialogue. I didn't come up with it. As Sharp says, we must make three so I can have one. Oh my god. You're right. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna read that one. Oh my god. So that happened. And of course they need her dagger to forge the ring. So she hands it over and they forge it, and here you go. Here are your rings. Here you are. Oh my God. As oh my as you didn't have to do that. Heels versus Babyface with a 300-pound super chat. Oh my God. Thank you. It says, thank you for teaming with me through many disastrous shows. Your insights and energy were captivating, and I look forward to teaming in the future, Jane. Oh, thank you. As you didn't have to do that. We had so much fun. Oh. Thank you. It's just too much. And we have many more weird shows to cover, I'm sure. Too many more. Oh God, now I got okay. We get back on track. Oh my God, as thank you. Okay, what were we talking? Oh, this stupid ring. We're talking about the stupid ring. It was so sweet. As is a legend, the hero we need. As isn't Sauron. We'll say that. We know that. Should I go look at her? Okay. Okay. Back to the show. Back to the show. Because we're almost done. We're almost done. Sword Collector says that gem was way too thick to fit inside. Are you talking about the ring? Didn't they know how to cut gems? Okay, that's a good question. Is this the cutting part? Is this the cutting part? Or is it not cut? Are they putting an uncut gem into the thing? So, anyone who may know, do you cut the gem? I'm guessing you cut the gem before you put it into the ring, right? Theophilus says that jewel is scuffed AF. Look like unpolished gems. They look cheap. They look plastic. Uncut gems. Gotta catch up with the chat. Sauron didn't get a chance to teach them gem cutting yet. Yes, you cut it first. It's a ring pop. Someone called them uncircumcised gems. It looks so cheap, y'all. This looks like plastic. This looks like something you can go and buy yourself from, like, I don't know, the dollar store. They didn't even try. So this is what the finished product looks like. They give you this shot. Now you tell me, does this look like rings that the elves forged? Here are your rings of power. This is what all the buildup was for. So that was for. Aren't you excited at the big reveal? Aren't you blown away? Okay. Oh my god. I wonder if they will make these into merch. I wonder if they will try to sell them in a set. This is- oh my god. Goosebumps all over. Wow. They should be embarrassed. They should be absolutely embarrassed by this foolishness. Made in China, made in Elven China. Look at it. This is insane. They really could have. They the chat's going so fast. Let me see if I can highlight it. K Jewelers. Somebody said they could have just gotten K. Just get K on board. Get them on the phone and just tell them to do it. Someone said the sad part is that the actors will have to actually wear those rings now. So they're gonna have like green circles on their hands. Oriental trading. The clarity. Well, they only had a small $1 billion budget. This Kuso cat. This is insane. Every kiss begins with K. This is insane. So their final shot, as if you weren't just in awe enough, and you weren't in awe enough, you weren't blown away just yet. The final scene is Halbrand as Sauron. Now they don't do the transformation. They should have done one, but they didn't. Instead, they just show him in Mordor. He's in Mordor now. It's amazing. It's amazing. Stunning, brave. Incel Sauron. Hey, Halbrand and Sauron, get it? Get it? Did we miss Gandalf and Nori? Yeah. Yeah. I went through their storyline first. It's just easier to do it one storyline at a time because you realize how absolutely empty and contrived it is. The land of Mordor. Wait, what? Halbrand and Sauron? Sauron is in the hood. Why is he wearing a hoodie? Where did these clothes come from? Because he didn't have any. Everybody else is wearing the same clothes over and over. Where did he get this outfit? Also, just as where are the diverse characters this episode? Well, one died. This is wild. Incel hoodie. Mordor. Oh my god. So this was it. This was it. This was their big ending to that particular storyline. What we're supposed to take away here is that his entire reemergence and his rise is Galadriel's fault because she broke up with him. Yay. Yay. He must have teleported there. Exactly. Wow, what a stupid show, says Bush. He's a bad boy, says Easter Fools. Bad to the bone. Quality. This is quality. This is quality. And you're patently evil if you don't like it. So last but not least, we have Numenor and the king is dying. So they're going to have the artisans, each one will have an opportunity to spend about an hour with the king to get his likeness, because they're going to build him a tomb. It's going to be magnificent, because they're now suddenly becoming obsessed with eternal life or the afterlife. And this is one of the reasons why they eventually turn um, against God, because they want to be immortal. But thanks for sticking that in at the very end, and vaguely at that. Of course, the daughter who isn't the daughter, who doesn't exist, is one of the artisans who's asked to come in and sit with the king and do a drawing of him. He has a moment where he's out of his head and he's talking to her as if he's talking to his daughter, and he's trying to warn her about the fall to come, again because he already did, and she's already seen it. But he sends the girl to look at the Palantir, and she looks through it, but it cuts off right here. We actually don't see her looking through it. We don't see what she sees, but presumably she sees Numenor falling into the sea. Again, we've seen that repeatedly now with all of the females and none of the males, which is also contrary to the lore, but sure, whatever, fine. But that's it. That's where it ends. That is the end of your season finale of Amazon's Rings of Power. Woo! Jared Thorne says, I bet she'll be the founder of Gondor. Oh my God. You're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. Friend Sister says, they shot this after seeing the last episode of House of the Dragon. I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them. She will lead those faithful out of there. No. 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 You're right. Oh my God. You're right. You are right. It's going to be her. And see, I didn't know. They've shown her, they've shown Muriel, and they've shown Galadriel. So I wasn't sure which of them it would be. I thought it would be Galadriel, because she has to do everything and be responsible for everything. But no, it makes sense that it would be her. It would be her idea. She's going to be the one, not Elendil, to get the faithful off the island, get them to Middle Earth, and be the founder of one of the Numenorian kingdoms. It's going to be her. Oh my God. A woman did it first. Yeah. This is Captain Cook says the feminine energy will save the line of kings. Girl Sildor. This is insane. Her dad, and her brother. Wow. You figured it out, chat. You figured it out. That's why she's here. This is all they know to do, is to rewrite history. Galadriel and Isildur's sister will make the last alliance. I'm so sick of this show. Crusader says this show should have been called Girls of Power. Yeah, it easily. That's it. There's been no man in it. And any person who looks like a man has no power, no voice, no agency, no ideas of his own, good or evil. Good or evil. Even the simplest decision was made by a woman. This is insane. I'm just glad it's over. I'm glad it's over. So that was your final episode, y'all. Um thank you. Thank you so much for being with for being with us on this journey of this insane show. I don't know where it's going from here. I don't think there's going to be a second season. I know they're saying that there will be. Trump 3PO says that was a long one. It was. It was. It was a long one. It was a long one. But it's over. We survived. We survived. We got through it. I don't know where they're going from here. Apparently, they're saying it's going to be a couple years before the next season. I think that it's going to get put on a shelf. I think they're going to forget about it. Either that, or they're going to go back to the drawing board, get the hint, and come with something better. I'm not holding my breath. Drunk 3PO says, I was at the gym listening, so thanks for making it long. Well, you're welcome. You're welcome. That's where I'm headed. Actually, would have been better to do that than this, probably. But I love hanging out with you guys on Saturday morning and just walking through this insanity that is pop culture today. Hopefully the show will not get a second season. If they do, then I do genuinely hope it's better. I really do. They will probably double down. They will probably double down. I'm hoping they don't, though. I'm hoping they get the hint by then. But we have a lot of work to do between now and then to get our point across that we reject the direction they're headed. Okay? So it's important that we all continue to raise our voices, speak up, spend our money where on the things that we enjoy, on those projects and people, writers, directors, actors who actually respect the fans, and on traditional media so that they understand that it's not their stuff we want. They're rebooted, remastered, whatever they call it. We want the original and we want new creative ideas that are respectful and consistent with real, genuine entertainment. It's particularly escapist entertainment. So, but that's on us. We're obligated to do our part. And we want to make sure that they understand where we're coming from. So that's why we do this. And it's great. I always hate saying goodbye. But today, there is one thing I want you guys to do, if you will. Sporking News Podcast is having a sporkathon on his channel. So if y'all would go to his channel and we'll do a raid, I guess, a Jane raid. I don't know what you would call it. But we're going to Sporking News Podcast to his sporkathon. And let me see if I can actually find it and post the link if y'all haven't already. Just 1 second. Chase is no, not Scott. I'm going to post the link. And if y'all do me a big favor and head over. Okay, that's the link. And we know it's jokes. We know it's jokes. Head over and we'll do a Jane raid. Or a gumbo raid, however you want to call it. I don't know. It's my first raid. But let's head over and show Scott some support. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you next time.